Hey everybody, Danny, Tamika here. We're doing kayfabe jiu-jitsu from inside our shelter-in-place castle. Since the academies are still closed around here, we're going to keep doing some jiu-jitsu on YouTube. Today we're going to be looking specifically at a mount escape. It's the mount escape, the one that kind of we all learned first. It's a hip and elbow escape or a hip escape. It's going to be a real basic escape, so if you're a newer player, this is going to be a great video for you to watch. See just a regular old hip and elbow escape. If you like it, subscribe to the channel, throw me a comment. Alright, so mount, escape, in the gi, let's go. So I originally learned this escape from my good friend and teacher, Matt F. Taylor. Matt has a podcast, it's really great. I'll put the link for the podcast in the description down below if you want to check him out. It's called Spitballin'. Let's get right into it. Alright, so we're here in mount. Typically my partner is going to be in a grappling context, is going to be down here. She's going to be controlling me with her hips. This is a standard mount. She's kind of controlling me here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hands and I'm going to start to make a frame. Since this is just jiu-jitsu, I don't have to worry about getting hit in the face. So I just protect my neck so she doesn't start digging her hands into my collars and all that stuff. I want to protect my arms so she doesn't start driving my arm up like you may have seen in a video we did. Anyway, I don't want any of that to happen. So I'm going to take my hands, I'm going to take my right hand and I'm going to push it across their belt. If Tamika sits up for me here, I'll show you where I put my arms. One right here, and I make the other one grab my own wrist and I line my elbow up with her knee. So I'm here. So when she's down here, I might be able to punch this in or I might have to bump to get that in place. Once I've got this in place, I lock my elbows to the ground and to her. I have pressure in both directions. This stops her from just moving up willy-nilly into high mount and making my life even more complicated. So this is stopping her from coming up higher, but it's also going to allow me to move this leg. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bridge so that I can get on my side. It's here, here. Now I'm not turning way over because I don't want her climbing up on my back. It's a quarter turn. Here. My leg that's on the bottom now is going to go straight. How straight?
Ramrod straight.
Ramrod straight, which is, I've been assured, very, very straight. So my leg is very straight, and I'm going to reach over, and I'm going to hook her ankle with mine. I'm going to pick this foot up and put it between my legs. Now I can push with my elbow as I open this leg and shrimp. Finding my underhook, getting control of the bicep here. Now I have an underhook and bicep control, but more importantly, I'm in half guard, not mount. So from here I can decide whether to chase this underhook and start coming up in half guard, or I can shrimp again and go back to full guard. So sometimes when I make this initial turn happen, they start to hide this foot or drive it laces down on the floor, and it makes it very hard for me to scrape this up in here. If that happens, I keep my frame, I move my leg a little bit, and I hook underneath her foot with mine. Now I can pick it up and put it here. Now I make the hip escape happen there. So if my partner, without my partner for a second, so without your partner, what I'm doing essentially is turning, straightening my bottom leg, ramrod straight, and I'm going to either scrape or hook this foot in between my legs. Once just her foot's in there, I can put both feet on the floor and shrimp my hips out. That should push that leg back into half guard.
Yeah, I think maybe one thing I'd add is it's a little bit easier to do this escape like the more your opponent is directly on your hips, because even if they're not in super high mount, if they're kind of sitting kind of in the middle of your body, it's kind of hard to do it from there, so you do have to kind of push them down.
That's a really good point. You do have to have the frame has to be in place on their hips to do this. There
Yeah.
needs to be distance being made between the two of you. So it's hard to do that if you can't make that space because they're already too high. I will show one trick I like to use when they are kind of creeping up a little too high. It's kind of simple looking, but it's fun.
But it's useful.
But it's very useful. So if I'm trapped on the bottom of the mount here and she's starting to climb up my chest, I'm in real danger of having these arms kind of pinned up on my side, and I really don't want that to happen. So a lot of times I'll just shortcut and grab the hip if I can't get all the way to my frame right away. I'll grab with both. Now I'm going to put my feet as close to my butt as I can get them here, and I'm going to try to make some space between the two of us. But there's too much friction here, especially with the gi on, for me to kind of make this one smooth motion. So in a lot of cases, if she starts creeping up my chest, I'm going to grab and I'm going to sort of do a bunch of mini shrimps down here. It looks a little silly, but it works really well. As she climbs up, I put some sort of wedge in between us here so she can't keep following me, and then I bump my hips as hard as I can this way. Once I've got this space, I reinforce here. Now I've got a wedge here powerful enough to keep her away from me while I make my adjustment here and start moving towards my escape. So the other thing they might be doing to interfere with your ability to start this hip escape is grapevining. I'm not a gigantic fan of this as a tactic, but people do it, and it sucks, and it's painful, and it hurts. Especially if they start driving their hips forward and they're trying to just make you miserable. Luckily, I'm going to put the same block in here, this wedge, and I'm going to straighten my leg. As long as my leg stays bent here, she can control it. I can't move it around all that much. But as I straighten it away, that hook's going to pop off. I bring it back to the middle. I do the same thing on the other side. Once I've reclaimed this, I don't want her getting her legs back underneath there and flattening me out again. So if she grapevines, I immediately come here, and then I start my escape. Now she can't grapevine anymore. There's no way to get under my leg. Hope you enjoyed that. Real basic, fundamental, powerful escape from full mount. It gets a little more complicated when you start dealing with different hip angles and different mounting positions like Hickson mount and S mount and all that. Maybe we'll get into that a different day. A little bit of basic mount escape. It's one of the very first techniques I ever learned, I think, and I think I used it last month. It's it's been working for 8 years and it doesn't seem it will stop at any point. So it's probably a great one to have in your toolkit. Hope you enjoyed the little details, if that's what you were here for. Hope you enjoyed the basics, if that's what you're here for. See you guys soon. Thank you much.